All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 p.m. August 12th, 2014. Town of Grand Rapids meeting is called to order. A couple announcements first. Supervisor Paulson is out of town this evening, and Clerk Judy is attending to the elections. So Treasurer Chris will be following up and doing the clerk's duties, taking the minutes, etc., etc. So, first thing on our agenda is going to be two public hearings. The first public hearing is for changes to Ordinance 52 pertaining to sections 52.3, 52.6, 52.11, and changes to Ordinance 51, section 51.11. And these are all in reference to correcting those ordinances. We several months ago repealed Ordinance 27, which was considering issues of citations. Those were moved to a separate ordinance, so this ordinance needed to go through a correction process. The legislative committee discussed it and brought this to the board. It must go through a public hearing because it is changes to those particular ordinance which is pertaining to the zoning. So, if anybody wishes to speak against either of these changes, which are simply the changes to remove the nomenclature that referred to Ordinance 27 that was no longer in effect, please speak at this time. Anybody wishing, again, to speak against the changes to Ordinance 52 and 51.1 penalties, please speak at this time. Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak against the changes on Ordinance 52 and Ordinance 51, removing the notation of Ordinance 27, please speak at this time. Hearing none, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the changes? Again, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the changes? Third and final time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the changes? Hearing none, I'll call that public hearing closed, and I'll open up the second public hearing, which is a public hearing on the application of Mike and Lori Edwards, 5920 Deer Road. Rezoning request to rezone existing parcel 07-0122C, currently zoned R2 residential, to agriculture after it is combined with lot 07-01-022, resulting in the entire 28.13 acre parcel, more or less being all zoned agricultural. Anybody wish to speak against the rezoning request? Anybody wishing to speak against the rezoning request going from residential R2 to agricultural for the 28.13 acre parcel? One more time, anybody wishing to speak against the parcel combination and rezoning? Go ahead, sir.
My name is Bill Miles. My only concern there would be that how that affects my land adjacent to Mike, and
Okay.
future roads that I may want to put in, and how is going from R2 to agricultural, how does that affect me? That's my question.
Okay. We hope that we could answer that for you later. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the rezoning from R2 to agricultural on the 28.1 more or less acre parcel being rezoned from R2 to agricultural? Those are parcels 07-0122C and 07-0122. Anybody wishing to speak in favor? Assuming that the Edwards are in favor?
Yes.
Anybody wish to speak in favor? One more time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the rezoning? Hearing none, I'll call that public hearing closed. Those are the public hearings for this evening. We'll move to the irregular published agenda items. I guess this was all published, but approve the agenda for the meeting. Any concerns? Hearing none, I'll move to item 2, approve the minutes from the July 17th, 2014 town board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 17th minutes as presented.
Motion Patty, second
I'll second that.
Kathy. Any discussion on the minutes?
Yes. I noted that in there, there's a motion, and I asked what the motion was to refer this to refer the item to the, I think,
Which item
safety committee,
Which item are you referring to?
the second item there.
Okay.
To the, it's right at number 3 at the bottom.
Okay.
It says, the motion by Paulson, all board members agreed that a 3 to 5 year plan would be beneficial for the town. A motion by Paulson and L for the safety committee to hold at least one monthly meeting to begin working with the fire department officers on preparing a 3 to 5 year strategy plan for the fire department.
Mhm.
And then I asked, is this motion to refer this? And it looks like that the motion is that the board authorized them to have one meeting.
Not
And-
one.
Pardon?
Oh, sorry, Bill, but it doesn't say one, it says monthly meetings.
Okay, well, a monthly
plural.
meeting,
Okay,
a monthly meeting, so that would be one every month or something like that.
yeah.
But I thought it was just to refer this idea to the safety committee. And that's what I asked, was this to refer this item? And the chairman stated it was. It looks like the safety committee already decided that this is what they're gonna have.
I guess we'd have to listen to the tape to
Okay, and I
be
sure.
crystal clear about it, Bill. The intention of when I was bringing it up was to have public safety take the lead as the lead for it. However, I wanted all board members to be involved, and I was gonna discuss that later in my comments, but I'll bring it up to you now, is that I wanted all board members to participate and be paid per diems based upon attending and input to this process. Because I wanted this to be a whole board process, but I wanted one committee to take the chair of it to set the meetings and et cetera. That was my intent, but I guess we can.
That's
we-
my recollection.
We can run it back again and see if it's not.
No, so in essence, it is referred to the safety committee.
To take the
Yeah,
lead.
to take the lead
Take the
on the
lead.
meetings, and it might be that the first meeting gets, we have a conversation and it just ends, and it might be that the first meeting's productive and it continues.
Okay, thank you.
And then my intention was, as I said earlier, to have all board members participate and be paid. All right, any other questions on the minutes? If not, do we have a motion and a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? It's approved. Okay, so item 3 would then be, excuse me if I spread out a little bit, Patty. here.
And we got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
Approval, item 3, approve the resolution 2014-25, approving the changes to ordinance 51 regulating zoning and to remove the reference to ordinance 27 which was repealed. So we have resolution 2014-25 that simply states that it's being removed due to the ordinance, reference to ordinance 27 was no longer in effect.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve resolution 2014-25.
Motion Bill,
I'll second that.
second Patty. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. We have, next item would be item 4, ordinance, resolution 2014-26. Ordinance 52 zoning is hereby amended as presented. And then again, that's for the repealing to the reference of ordinance 27, which was repealed. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2014-26 as presented.
motion Kathy,
I'll second that.
Second Patty. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. All right, we move to item 5, approval of resolution 2014-22, approving the rezoning of parcel 07-0122C from R2 to agricultural after it is combined with 07-01022, resulting in the entire 28.13 acre parcel, more or less being zoned agricultural. Mr. Miles had a question as to if the zoning affected anything, and I assume that's if you were to develop on the south side of the Bloody Run, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I don't believe that agricultural zoning would have any effect to that current parcel that you have.
It was the road there.
Yeah, the only
Although that's
thing
not
that's a
this.
separate item, I guess we could talk, there's a concern on whether
I don't know.
he's able to get to that parcel unless 48th, Deer Road is extended all the way to 48th, or a feeder road was brought off of a parcel that Mr. Edwards and his wife are looking to have the town okay to have removed. Bill?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, would Mr. Miles' question be on item number 10?
It primarily is, and what I wanted to put it in front of everybody so that you knew where it is. So we can act on the resolution and the rezoning now and then address the concerns, or try to answer the concerns in the later memo. So, resolution 2014-22 is presented in front of you. Is there any action?
I'll make a motion to approve Mike Edwards and Lori Edwards on 5920 Deer Road, request to rezone existing parcel 07-0122C, currently zoned R2 residential to agricultural, after it's combined with the 07-0122, resulting in the entire 28.13 acres, more or less all being zoned agricultural.
Is there a second to Patty's motion?
I will second that.
Bill has seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, the rezoning has been approved. All right, item 6 is our public comment period. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each. Public comment period will not total any more than 30 minutes. Anybody in the audience wish to speak to the board or to the public as a whole? If you do so, I wish that you rise and state your name for the record so that the acting clerk here tonight has the notation. Anybody wishing to speak? Mr.
Ronald Hatt.
Ron Heck.
State the name for your record.
My name's Ron Heck. Let's see, first of all, I appreciate the chairman and any of the board members. The additional information you bring to bear on the particular agenda items helps me at least, so. The history of it, why it's on there, a little bit more of what's it about. So I appreciate you doing that. I've heard that already tonight. But my main concern here is on agenda item 16, discuss practice of public comments at the beginning of meeting only. And I asked, first of all, I want to thank Bill for asking that to be on the agenda a few meetings ago, or at least a meeting ago. I asked him if he would do that, and he did, so. And I asked the chairman before the meeting that he would consider opening that up for public discussion at the time that the agenda item was reached, and Arnie said yes. So
I agree.
I choose to comment on it additionally at that particular time, pending what the discussion of the board happens to be, so, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak to the board or to the camera? Anybody else wishing to speak? If not, I'll call the public Comment period closed. Move to a new page, huh? Item 7, monthly reports from departments. Fire Chief Don Bone.
Evening, board, citizens. We don't have a podium over here at this building, so. I guess we had a pretty standard month for the last month. We did have 28 calls for service, which has been our pretty standard norm for the last few months. Of those, 20 of the calls were EMS associated calls. We're actually getting a lot of bee sting calls. People having allergic reactions to bees. Apparently the bee population is right up there, so we've been out on quite a few of those. We did have 2 motor vehicle accidents this month, 2 carbon monoxide checks, which typically this time of year we don't have too many carbon monoxide issues. It's mostly been faulty carbon monoxide detectors. They only last 5 to 6 years, so you know the sensors in them go bad. So I guess if you're just hearing a chirping action in it and you're feeling fine, take a look at the age of your carbon monoxide detectors. Typically that's what it is. If you do have any concerns, feel free to call, but they don't last forever, especially some of the cheaper models. So you know, take a look at that, but we will come out and check your house if necessary. You can still have issues with actually bees are common to get into vent pipes and stuff and clog them up. So we did have a hazmat call out in the town of Grant. It turned out to be some agricultural chemicals that were spilled. Unfortunately, the spiller didn't stay on scene, so there was quite an extended period of time before we tracked down who the spiller was and to determine what the chemical that was spread down County Trunk F. County Trunk F was closed for probably about a 3 or 4 hour period until that was determined that it was just a fungicide used in potato farming applications and stuff. It wasn't, it was just an issue of getting it cleaned up. But it does turn into quite the event until you can determine what that product really is for sure. We had some people there making guesses as to what it was, but so like you say, that was an interesting, it was a kind of a mutual call between the Village of Plover hazmat team and ourselves and the Portage County Sheriff's Department. So it actually, you know, like you say, it took a few hours. That was actually right during our business meeting, so kind of extended our meeting, but it was
Quick
a,
response, so.
what?
It was a quick response.
We had a quick response, yes. We did have one fire up at the Beer and Mill under the 26 paper machine. We responded up there on a Thursday morning, I believe it was, about 6 o'clock in the morning. The Beer and Mill staff kept the fire halfway in check until we could get in there with air packs and stuff and assist the Beer and Fire Department in getting that under control. But we were there for probably an hour and a half getting stuff cleared out while they cleared out the paper that breaks and starts on fire under the paper machine there. So commend the staff at the Beer and Mill for, you know, I know they're instructed to limit their firefighting, but they also are doing it to save their livelihood up there. So that call went rather well. And then we had just a mutual aid. Wisconsin Rapids had a structure fire downtown, and we were put on standby to cover the city if anything else occurred, which luckily nothing did occur during their period that they were overstaffed, or understaffed, excuse me. Our training for the month, obviously we're still working up at our house on Eagle Road. We've been doing our monthly training up there. The Wood County Sheriff's Department was up there last week with their tactical team doing a bunch of quite interesting work at the house, showing off a new piece of equipment that they do have. Kind of interesting. I hope I never get involved in a scene with them, but it's good to know that if necessary, they are prepared for that. I believe the Port Fire Department's going to be utilizing it next week after. We're going to be up there Monday night. I believe our police department in association with the Sheriff's Department will be up there probably Tuesday. I don't know what times. And then, like I say, we're trying to get quite a bit of work out of, you know, training drills out of that house before it eventually does end up coming down. So, like you say, it's been some very good training, and we've offered it to all the area fire departments to come and and do some of their training up there, so. Very much like to thank the Golden Eagle staff for allowing us to have that opportunity. It's valuable training that you can't get out of a textbook, so. And obviously, we're gonna be having our RIT team and our EMS crews are gonna be working up there doing, some of the rehab work. So when the firefighters come out, the EMS people take over to verify that their vital statistics and stuff are in line to make sure, people aren't being overexerted, and we can monitor them and see what kind of shape they're in after they come out of a stent inside the house working. So that's kind of our goal for our training, is to stay up there as long as we can, till hopefully we'll end up burning the house down sometime in October, November, somewhere in there. We have cut a bunch of trees down around there. It's cleared out just a little bit more than it was, so we can get in to do some more aerial training and eventually burn the house down. So, but that's kind of our training for the month. Like I say, we're at full staff. Like I say, we actually have probably one more than currently. We did have one person that's looking to get on just as a first responder, but he's also going through the paramedic program. So even though we're considered a first responder squad, we do have people that are currently licensed EMTs and paramedics that are on our department. It's just they can only function and they're with us as the first responder level. But once United gets there, they can advance their skills and stuff. So you do have some fairly well-trained people that are coming to your door first if they don't happen to be associated with the ambulance service. So, and that's probably the extent of our training and stuff for the month. We've had our normal meetings. We'll be having our meeting next Wednesday for the planning session to try to determine the future of the fire department, and look forward to that process starting. We did have, I believe, 7 units in the Kellner Parade this week, or last weekend. I know there was no shortage of candy from what I heard. I was happy to see the big box of candy that was donated to us gone from here, so. But I believe a lot of people enjoyed the parade, and we also were down at the community picnic. We had a ladder truck down there, had kind of a tough time competing with the free dilly bars and stuff, but quite a few kids did come up and go through the truck. Just still kind of neat to see the little kids that tall that are just dreaming of being a fireman. So that one little boy asked more questions than you can imagine, but he was quite entertaining, and we appreciate them stopping by and taking their time. So, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, I just wanted to comment that I was here when the firemen were called out, firemen and women were called out on the one call where the chief was referencing 3 to 4 hours. They had a business meeting taking place, and it was really interesting to see what took place in the process of the call, who stayed behind to man the station so that it wasn't everybody gone, and then 3 to 4 hours later, having those same individuals reconvene to finish their meeting. It wasn't people bailing out to go home or getting tired of the process of waiting around. And I learned a lot being able to stay here and listen to the activity that took place. So great job.
Any other questions for the chief or comments? If not, we'll move to the police department. Mel Peterson, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of July, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 355 calls for service, and that's compared to 412 calls for service in July of 2013, and that was about a 14% decrease in calls. That's the first month this year that we've actually seen a decrease in calls. Board members, you'll have a breakdown of those calls. Police Department issued 8 written warnings, 8 municipal ordinance citations, and 35 traffic citations for the month of July. The Grand Rapids Police Department welcomed their, as it turns out, their final part-time employee, new part-time employee that we brought on board, Seth Tomei. He's our newest addition to the part-time ranks for our police officers. He started his training on July 30th, so he's just getting started. Officer Cody Conover has completed his field training syllabus, and he's now out on his own and filling shifts as needed when they're open for training or vacations or whatever, so you'll see him out there. The final part-time officer who we extended a offer to, Keith LeBerry, he was picked up a full-time position on the Sauk Prairie Police Department, so he's no longer going to be available to us, so sorry to see him go, but glad he found a full-time gig, so well, leaves us about one short right now, but with Officer Tomei should get through the FTO syllabus relatively quick. He's really a hard charger and anxious to get started, so I don't think it'll take too long to get him up to speed. So, for training for the month, Sergeant Drinkwine completed the AR-15 M16 M4 armor course, and he is now a certified armor for those long guns, which means that our long guns can now be properly maintained as they should be, and if there's any issues, we can correct it immediately instead of depending on Wood County or Rapids armors to do it. So they'll get the tender loving care that they deserve. Officer Arndt completed his FBI street survival training at the Milwaukee Area Technical College in the FBI Racine County Firearms Range. He was really impressed with the training and brought back a wealth of knowledge from that training that he's sharing with everybody else. He made the comment to me it's some of the best training he's ever been at. So, and I knew it would be that way because I'm kind of familiar with that training. But I'm glad he was able to go, and thank you for allowing him to go because it is really some good training. Officer Kubishek completed property room management training in Madison. She's been trained in that before, but it's good to 2-day refresher course to get her up to speed on all the new changes and law changes that come about in handling evidence and managing our property rooms so that we don't have any issues there. The Grand Rapids Police Auxiliary, they had a busy month. They assisted Wisconsin Rapids Police Department and their auxiliary with a fireworks display on July 4th, and of course they also assisted with the state water ski tournament at Red Sands also for 4 days. They did everything from traffic control, crowd control, ID checks, you name it. So they had a real active month, and again, our auxiliary doesn't cost the town anything, so whenever you see our auxiliary members out and about and helping out at these public events, you know, just thank them for what they do. Vehicles in department are doing well, outside the normal routine maintenance, a few minor repairs, but nothing major. And finally, one thing I didn't put on my report, but that I want to make sure I bring up is I want to thank the Riverview Hospital, specifically Jason Patterson from their facilities there for their generous donation of used office furniture that we put to good use here in the town of Grand Rapids for the clerk's office, the fire department, our department, and thank Supervisor Lumbee for making that happen, because she was the one that kind of coordinated everything. So I just want to thank them for their generous donation of the office equipment, office furniture that they provided. It was a vast improvement from what we had, so it was badly needed, so thank them. Other than that, that's all I have. Any questions or concerns?
Any questions for the chief?
I just would like to make a comment with the town of Grant parade. The auxiliary department, I myself met quite a few of them working that area, and they were so very cordial to the people and just assisted, so I just wanna say thank you to the auxiliary for helping the surrounding communities too. So they did a nice job.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll move back to, I missed the report from Chief Bone, the Safety Department report.
Well, there's very little to miss. Nobody's got injured. We've had a
We didn't miss anything then.
relatively safe month, and we're trying to keep it that way.
Sounds good. Any questions on our safety program? Sounds like it's working. All right, thanks again, and we'll move on to other agenda items. Item 8's Resolution 2014-21, approving a certified survey map for Mike and Lori Edwards, 5920 Deer Road, combining parcels 07-0122 with parcel 07-0122C, results in the new parcel being 28.13 acres more or less. Is there a motion to approve the
Mr.
certified
Chairman,
survey map?
I would approve the certified survey map, resolution number 2014-21.
I'll second that.
21, correct. Thank you. There's a second by Kathy. Any discussions?
I do have a couple things.
Go ahead.
The certified survey map, I brought this up at the plan commission, the correction on Lori's name. You'll be getting that,
Yeah, that'll be taken care of.
okay. And then also, we were talking about the possible vacation of the 33-foot road dedication. Last night at the plan commission meeting, we did get some more information into regards to a possible subdivision going, further on down the line from, it would be, I believe through the Timber Valley Drive area. Am I correct on saying that? Or
Deer Road.
Deer Road, excuse
Deer
me.
Road farther to the west.
And that 33 feet road dedication that you were talking about as far as vacating, that is on a 40 line, which I'm sure you well know, and I would like just to ask if you could consider possibly leaving that, that 33-foot road dedication, looking at your property and that, and knowing about the future development down the road in that area, I believe that would give you a third access to your property, which is always nice to have as many access to your property as possible. That was just my thought about that.
Actually, Patty, that's in our item 10,
In number 10?
to discuss
Rather
that
than this one?
resolution.
Okay.
This,
Because
the
it
survey,
talks about the
survey,
vacation.
yeah, but the survey map does show it that we're looking to approve.
Okay,
The 33-foot being there right now.
okay,
So
so we're gonna
we're looking to
approve
approve this. The question that we had in 10 was, would we consider as a board an agreement that would say we're not opposed to it being removed?
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
So I guess we'd be fine to act on this as
As
presented, correct, Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on the, that the clerk had brought to our attention, and she had said the CSM has reference to a road to be vacated. Oh, here it is. road
That's
to
the
be
one we're gonna
vacated.
talk
Yeah.
about.
So, but if we approve the certified survey map with it saying road to be vacated and then determine later on that it's not vacated, does that matter? Does that have an effect?
And see, that's what,
No, really, because it's not, it's showing on this map here now as the dedication is still there. My understanding of it, Bill, unless it was,
Have we got that, man? Well, that's the map, and it shows it on there as dedicated
It
now.
just
It
says
still shows
road,
the
it
dedicated.
shows dedicated, but then it just says road to be vacated.
but it doesn't say when it is to
Doesn't
be
say when,
dedicated.
right.
So,
And that's the court procedure to vacate it.
yeah,
We're approving the map now, and for somebody to get it off, they would have to go to court. And that's what we're gonna do in item 10, I believe.
we're gonna discuss
Is
it.
authorize that, or not authorize.
Okay.
Okay,
I hope that's clear.
I think we're clear, let's go ahead and, somebody wanna move that,
I
that
already,
forward? Did you move
That's been done, yeah.
21 forward? Did we get a second?
Yeah,
Did
Kathy
Chris?
second.
Bill Kathy.
Wow, I forgot, huh?
Just didn't vote on it.
that was a
All right,
long time.
any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I have an aye, any opposed? No opposed. All right, so that part is done, excuse me, Patty. All right, we have item 9, which is approval of resolution 2014-23, approving the certified survey map for Ron Bone, creating 3 lots located in part of section northeast 1/4 of northeast 1/4 of section 14T22, North Range 6. This would be at the corner of Washington and 64th, correct? Correct. And we have 1 lot on Washington and the 2 others reside on 64th. There is a notation that there is a 33-foot that is reserved for future road plans and that he would not contest, I guess it would be the long and short of it if it's on here. Bill, if the town asks for it, that'd be correct, right?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve that resolution 2014-23, approving the certified survey map for Ron Bone, creating 3 lots located in part of the northeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of section 14, town 22, North Range 6.
Motion, Bill, second.
I'll second that.
Patty? Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Okay, we're gonna move to 10. Approval of resolution 2014-24 stating that the board has no objection to Mike and Lori Edwards petitioning circuit court to vacate the 33-foot road dedication located adjacent to the west side of parcel 07-0122. There was a question as to would that affect any, the parcel which is further on Deer Road directly to the west of this 33-foot, which is asked to be removed. Deer Road is as you know, is about a 2,000-foot road, and it exceeds our town ordinance for basically a dead-end road with no other escape by approximately 1,000 foot. Now, how this one, or why this one was put in here was way before my time, that it was allowed to be in that, and I think the contention was that, I guess I couldn't contend as what the board felt when they did approve it. So, Mr. Miles is possibly looking at is after his current subdivision becomes full, there's some interest in filling the south side of the Bloody Run, and then the access would either be all the way to 48th Street. I believe you said you're 140 short of getting to 180, an 80-foot, 80-acre section that would not allow him unless the town would ask the property owners or petition by eminent domain to allow for the road to go that way. So therein lies the question to the board as whether the board should okay the Edwards to seek removal of that 33-foot that is now dedicated right now, or if that should be held for a current time to determine if there is another way to fill a road. If you were to look at that road, and if it goes way to the south, it would be a long way to the south before it would get to. Or the other thing is, it would either have to come down and hook onto, I believe, Taylor Lane as another pulsable source. But that at this point in time is not anything on the town's long-range plans or anything. So I guess, comments?
Yes, Richard. The email in our notes, our note says please read the email that was between Arnie and
Dan Woods.
Dan Woods, yes. And that basically boils down to, yes, what he wants to do, take it to court is the proper thing to do.
Right.
Is that what it says?
That is what it said.
That's-
Our attorney, Mr. Wood, said if he wishes to seek that to be removed, he'd have to petition circuit court to allow for it to happen. He did suggest, our attorney did suggest to us that if the board had its feelings one way or the other, it should make them known to the court through this item that we have here now. At least it would tell the court if we are holding any feelings one way or the other. And if we don't want to, then we should just table that item and let the circuit court petition the parties to determine whether it's reasonable to remove it. We don't have to take any action.
That's right.
Edwards were given the opportunity to ask us if we wanted to take that. Are there any comments you wanted to make on it, Mr. Edwards?
Well, initially, if you looked at the original certified survey map, that 40-acre parcel was subdivided. Someone had it all drawn up to be subdivided. When I bought my original 10 acres, they removed the dedicated roads that were part of that subdivision because it was no longer going to be subdivided, it was going to be larger parcels of land. 2 years after I bought the initial 10 acres, this 2-acre parcel became available, which of course gave me access to the other half of my land from Deer Road. So that's when I bought it. And at that time, that dedicated 33 feet was still part of that parcel, which it is today. It's 400 feet long and basically ends at my current property line, which doesn't have that dedicated road right away. So I guess I just question what use that 400 feet of, by 33 feet piece of property would do to the town or anyone as far as a road or future road. And like you stated, basically it would have to go all the way south to town line. And if you extended Taylor Lane, you'd go right through my shop, so I don't know if that's gonna work. Cause I own the property, of course, to the west of that Taylor Lane, so.
Arnie, is this,
Yes, ma'am.
this is what we're looking at, this
Right,
piece
that
right
piece
here?
there. Mhm.
Which one's is Mr. Miles's property?
That would be this piece right here. There's a bloody run runs right through here.
Okay,
So he would not have access from his Heritage Ridge side of his subdivision, would have to come in from the other side, or this is 48th Street way over here, or the road would have to go all the way to 48th Street.
but we're not
Only
looking to
problem with it
vacate
going
any
all
of
the way-
this though, right?
No.
This is all staying,
That's correct.
okay.
The only
So,
problem with it going to 48th is you then get close to the flood zone there, and that might be difficult to procure that land, although it could be done.
In all fairness, and as long as we're not conversation on it, in all fairness, Mr. Edwards was not privy to the conversation last night. And I just wonder if he was, if his going to court would still be proceeded. I was just wondering if this could be tabled, or is there an urgency? What does the court do? Demand that you have this within 2 weeks or something like that?
No, it's not that. I, in fact, talked to Mr. Schrader, who owns a property to the west, which is adjacent to the 33-foot deeded right of way, and I haven't done the paperwork, but verbally said he has no opposition to dedicating or giving the land back to me instead of the way it is, so. If you're gonna put a road through there, you're gonna have to go through all the property owners, east or west, to get that road through there, and that 400 feet isn't gonna matter one way or another. I was just trying to square off my property and make it one parcel without having another
right.
jog in it, so.
Okay, planning commission.
Like I said, I myself, it's on a 40 line, and I too live on a 40 line, and looking down the road for future expansion, and I believe a road dedication, if you have access to some property on the backside, it increases your value of your property or gives you another access to your property in case you want to sell it down the road. But it's strictly to me, I totally understand what you're saying about all the different ways of being able to get to it. There's a lot more of road dedication that would have to come into that. Myself, I have no bearing either way. I just was at the plan commission last night and heard about another avenue that's going to be coming down the road, and I just, don't want you to have to vacate that and then come back again and maybe try to make a road dedication down the road if you see fit.
As far as just some comments to the board, this board could just take no action and let the circuit court handle it. I mean, we do not have to decide one way or the other.
I'm good with that.
I mean, you can table the item or make a notation that the board has no discussion at this point. I mean, it's entirely up to you folks, what you feel.
I'm not opposed to him doing this, and I mean, if it helped them in their process, I agree. I don't see what benefit it's gonna do without adding additional expenses on our part, but I don't care either. I honestly don't, it doesn't seem to, other than between what Mr. Miles has referenced and how Mr. Edwards explained it, it seems like those are the only two parties involved at this point, and Mr. Schrader.
Because it's, how many acres is that?
That's the 28 Parker. This is,
That's 20.
this
so
is
that's-
28 with his little thing here, plus this here, that's 28 acres.
Even if we wanted
Of
to.
this 40.
If we had wanted to develop that 33 feet, not 33 feet, that 40, what is it, 40 feet? We'd still have to get the 33
We'd have to
feet
get
road right away on
some
the other
right-of-way
side.
from Schrader,
Right.
have to.
Yes.
So it's not even a road or nothing, the road ends.
Yeah, that was one of the things too, that the plan commission had asked for, to get surrounding signatures, but you had already said that you spoke to Schrader and he wasn't opposed to that.
Right.
So,
So if I'm hearing Patty correctly, because I appreciate what you bring to hear from the plan commission, what you're stating is there could be something down the pike that the Edwards would not want to vacate this because of knowing that, but couldn't we, if it doesn't matter to us and we make a motion that we're not opposed to him doing it, that's really puts it in his lap. He either waits or he moves forward.
Right.
But even if we don't make a motion, he still will either wait or move forward.
Right, I was just gonna say the same thing. If we just tabled this and not take any action on it, and let the circuit court decide, or he can decide, they can decide whether or not they would like to move forward with it, then that allows them to move forward. If they decide not to move forward because of the future development that could increase the property value by having a road dedication already there, then he would be already set. So.
Mike?
I have a question. If, let's say hypothetically that you wanted to extend from Deer Road south to Town Line, a road, what would the process be from the town standpoint to acquire the property from, of course, it would be from me, Schrader's, Hammonds, and Schultz to do that? Is that something the town would have to purchase the land? How does that work?
Eminent domain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to purchase it at fair market value if the town was to initiate. Typically, the town doesn't do that.
So I guess my point is, in order for this road to ever happen, those property owners are gonna wanna have to sell part of their land to put a road through that, for me, doesn't benefit me. It would go right through where all the deer go through, which is what I don't want. So, and I know the Schraders are in the same boat. That's their hunting land, that's what they do. But
Something was mentioned last night, about future planning for the town and a future planning map. Is there a future plan there? Obviously with that 33 feet there was, huh?
That was put there, we'd have to look up the date this parcel was cut out of there. A long time ago that was. I do not have the history of it, but I can tell you typically from planning department's perspective, if there was an opportunity for the planning commission to put for a restriction on a 40-line road, they were gonna try to grab the 33 feet. That's typically how the plan commission operated. Whether they knew that it was gonna be needed today or 100 years from now, it was typically the idea is if they had a 40-line road, they would take the right of way if they had the opportunity.
And there is court cost in this, right? I mean,
Sure.
you
I
have
would
to pay.
imagine, yeah.
Mhm.
So would there be a problem with referring this back to the planning commission? Plan commission to listen to these 4 or 5 different individuals? And what they plan on doing, rather than going through court, getting it vacated, and then eminent domain ends up, you gotta give it back?
He wouldn't have to make the decision, no. The plan commission can make the decision whether they wanted to do it. I mean,
Who did I meet with before? Was that the planning
Plan
commission?
Yeah.
commission,
Right.
yeah.
So I guess that seems rather redundant to me to go back to the committee that already.
the only thing that, in their benefit, Mike, they didn't have any reason to think that there was ever any future developments potentially coming in the next 5 years.
Right.
And now they think there may be. They didn't have that knowledge until last evening, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
last night.
I'll make a motion to indefinitely postpone resolution 2014-24.
Bill has made a motion to table indefinitely 2014-24. Second? I'll second it for discussion.
Okay. So by tabling it
Indefinitely
indefinitely.
postponing it kills the matter for the board.
Right, takes it out of the board's
Okay.
hand and leaves
Takes
it
it
in.
right out of our hands.
And leaves it
We have
in the
nothing to do with it.
circuit courts.
We're not telling anybody we're in favor of it, we're not telling anybody we're opposed to it,
Mm-hmm.
we're not telling them to go someplace else and figure it out. It's out of our hands. This
And
will-
that's,
That's pretty
My
much
mind is a
what
good
where
way,
we're
so.
at, yeah.
Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? All right, so we're tabling, so we're saying the board takes no action, Mike. You can proceed which way you desire. All right, item 11, approve an amended resolution 2014-11 for CSM approval for Jim Shannon to clarify the road dedication being 77 feet with a 73 foot of road frontage. It was, those two numbers were reversed in your previous motion. And so we have a new resolution that, on the advice of the attorney, to present to you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the road dedication and the certified survey map of James Shenick for parcel number 0700-771, 0700-771K, and 0700-771E.
noting as it says that it's a 7 foot rather than 73 foot.
However, it's still, I still believe it to be 17 feet wide by 73 feet long. And I know the attorney had said that.
You know the attorney said 17 or
He
the,
said
70.
7, but that's why I'm hesitating.
So where's the
But can we-
73 foot, is that his frontage?
No.
No.
That's the,
Right. So this is his existing parcel. This is Highway Z,
Yep.
and this is 40A Street.
Mm-hmm.
And so this 73 feet is like right in here. So from here to here. And then this 17 feet is from this part to that line. And see, it truly says 17 feet, not 7 feet.
If you think this is correct, we should probably table this.
Okay,
Okay, I agree, because
If,
the map and the
if they don't agree,
resolution.
right, I don't
we
agree.
should table it and.
Well, either table it, or you can amend it, you can amend the amendment. If you are confident that it should be 17 feet instead of 7 feet, and somebody else understands your explanation, and you make a motion and we pass that, then we'll just be sitting here making an amendment to the amended I mean, you
Yeah.
could do that and then move it forward if you're correct.
Right. Last night at the Plan Commission, I did speak to one of the members, and he had felt that the 17 was correct. However, the planning and zoning, well, Larry, he left before I could capture him to ask his feeling on it. So I guess I'd like to table this one more time and get verification.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded by Bill to table. Any further discussion, or no discussion on table, excuse me. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Item 12, approve of revised outside storage and vehicle permit application form. Basically, the form we had was on the inside page of this cover page. Very non-nomenclatured, I guess, Chief, no indications of what the fees were or anything. So this new form has the fees and everything, correct?
Correct.
Anything else that was changed on that you had?
No.
All right,
So can I ask a question?
you may.
So now if somebody has a vehicle that they want to keep over outside, that's required. If they want to keep it indoors, do they have to have that?
No, this is for outside.
Outside
Yeah.
storage
Yeah.
of any vehicle that is not, I just want to say one time with one of our zoning administrators or
Yeah, they-
inspectors, they indicated that a vehicle, all vehicles are registered, they're just not licensed. And I believe that not to be true.
I think what he meant by that is you could have a title for your vehicle.
Right.
But you may not have it registered, you may not have the registration
And
current.
this requires the registration.
This requires the,
To be
uh,
the title, and if you don't want to register.
well, it has the title,
Yeah.
yeah, title, right. So with this, you wouldn't necessarily need a current registration, but you would have to have the title, yes.
Because registration license is really the same thing, just two different languages, isn't it?
Well,
French and
you
English?
could have the title to a vehicle, but it made, the registration may not be current where you can legally drive it on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you have the title and then, yeah, a lot of people refer to them as the same, but
Now,
yes,
this,
technically they're not.
this not so much as the property owner. If my son lives in Milwaukee County and he wants to store his vehicle at my house in the town of Grand Rapids, I, as the owner of the property, have to obtain a permit to do that and pay the fee.
Well,
Correct?
you have to work that out with your
Well, I
son,
just
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I can't take somebody's car from another township because they charge a fee and it's not even and that's not titled to me. You know, I hope that's clear on that.
Right.
That was another stinger we used to have. Well, that's not my car. And so it got my name on it. My son then got in a car accident and left it here, or he's on a 3 years with no driver's license, and he's just storing it outside for a place.
Yeah.
They all require it
Yeah.
if they're in the town of Grand.
Yeah. For
Just so it's clear.
outside storage.
Outside storage,
Outside
yes.
storage, yeah.
And, Mr. Chairman, we're referring to, the permit is only for outside storage of unlicensed or unregistered, disabled
Right,
vehicles, not just my son brings his car to my house and it parks outside all day. It's a registered vehicle, that's fine. And he lives down Walker
Sure.
or whatever, he brings it, that's okay. This is
Yeah.
just the unlicensed ones, right?
Right.
And I just wanna make sure that's what you're referring to also,
Right.
Bill, so I was on the same page.
Okay.
But if I buy a 47 Dodge pickup because I want to restore it, and it's a junker, it has no title, I still have to get a permit to put it there.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or if you wanna
If
leave
you're
it,
gonna
or if you
store it
wanna leave it in
outside.
my backyard, I gotta get a permit. All right, is there a motion to approve the new form?
I'll make a motion to approve the new form for the outside storage of vehicle
Is
application.
there a second? Patty motioned,
I'll second.
Kathy second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. Item 13 is approval of public records notice and public records request form. It's quite lengthy, it's been on file, but it's basically bringing up our public records notice to the legal nomenclatures that must be on these public records notices, indicating who's responsible for the records, whether it's a clerk, the police chief, or the fire chief for the matter, and the fees which are universally accepted amongst town clerks as to what the fees could be charged for that type of thing, $5 or more, or some records up to, costs of possibly up to $5, and indicating that, taking out the word floppy disk, which was in the previous one, and floppies have gone by the wayside long ago, and also noting that they could be copied to a stick or a flash drive, but we would provide the flash drive for a fee so that there's no chance of anything on another person's flash drive contaminating our server. So that's the changes to the public's records notices, and I think I made it pretty clear. Any other discussion?
I had a note about, do we keep copies of the public access recordings? Do you know, and if they're available
Yes,
to us?
yes, we are given a copy, I believe.
Okay, so if,
We receive a disc from them monthly.
okay, so I know when it was going through, like, who was in charge of what type of records, would that public access, the recording of the meetings fall into
No,
any of these?
no, because
So-
they're the actual owner of it. RCCA is the owner of that recording.
Okay, so we cannot give, if that's a request.
It wouldn't be a request of us, it'd be a request of them, and that's,
Okay.
and they have no problems with anybody. Matter of fact, every one of them is on the internet for
Okay,
a whole length of
All
time
right.
that anybody could request to
Okay.
watch it.
that was.
Not
one-
all people have internet access, of course, and they can go down there, get a CD for a minimal cost of it.
Okay. And then, my other question was, it seems to me that everyone was able to just, bottom line, if they weren't available, go to the clerk and get records from them. But the fire chief had no other, if the fire chief was here, you could have him. If he wasn't, you couldn't.
Well, you can still make a request to the clerk to get him from him. That's,
Okay,
and
because the other ones.
she would pass the request on to them and say if Mel is out of town, somebody comes in and they want to give a request, he's not available to accept that request, they can give it to the clerk or even our other staff, and then they can present it to him.
Typically, that's what they do. If I'm not available when a request comes in, they will hold that request until I am available or Sergeant Drinkwine's available to approve it. And then at that point, they will make their copies or whatever they need
Right.
to do.
It just, it's just a little bit more clear under, like, your situation here. It says all requests and records will be reviewed by the police chief releasing it. But it said a record request may be made by the police administrative assistant during regular office hours. When it talked about the treasurer, it said it can be obtained if she wasn't available through the main office staff.
But again,
If
they're
the
only, they're
clerk-
gonna accept the request, they're not going to likely fill the request. Because there's certain things such as escrows, et cetera, whatever, that they certainly have to be knowledgeable of. Right, Chris?
That's correct.
I didn't realize you were
They
sitting,
can
I
get,
forgot
they
you
can
were
get
sitting next
copies
to
of
me.
tax bills or something like that at no charge, but if they were gonna get anything deeper than that, they don't have the, they don't, not necessarily have the authority, but they don't know how to get that information from a computer, so.
I make
Put the
motion to
request in and I would
approve.
fill it.
Has that been made?
Okay.
No,
I'll second that.
thank you, Bill. Motion, Bill, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? Moving on. Item 14, approved officer Kubishak attending Amber Alert training in Neenah, Wisconsin, September 17th and 19th, 2014. Approximate cost $314. Chief, that is in your budget, correct?
That is correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the training of Officer Kubishek.
Bill motions,
I'll second.
Kathy seconds. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Item 15, open of requests for proposals received by solid waste, for solid waste and recycling pickup.
Do we open all 7 of them?
Did you get 7?
No? In my I have the only RFP presented to us, and it's from Advanced Disposal. Who is, by the way, our current provider. Notice I didn't correct myself.
It's good. Good for the safety record. Could you read it to us?
Please.
I have a copy for you, so you can read it on your own. All I'm going to do is to get where the nuts and bolts are and read to the public what the rates are, and then the board will, proposal would be to turn this to public, I want to say sanitation, but it's not sanitation.
Recycling.
Recycling and solid waste, thank you.
Waste Committee.
All right, the proposal fees, monthly fee for unit solid waste with residential owning own container and bags, a 3-year rate of $8.50. Monthly charge for weekly collection of recyclables, 3-year rate $2.40. Monthly charge for dumpsters, 2 at the town garage, $29 for 3-year, $29 for 5-year, $29 for 7, and they did not quote any 5 or 7-year rates. Weekly collection of recyclables with containers provided, they did offer a 7-year rate of $10.50. And I guess that's the long and short of it. Thank you for your proposal. We'll turn it to the committee for appropriate action.
Does it go to committee now or after our closed session?
Yeah,
After our closed session.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I got enough stuff here.
All right, so that is item 15. Item 16, discuss public, the practice which I initiated a couple years back, allowing discussion at meetings. At the beginning of the meeting, and the discussion was, should we allow more? Thank you, Dale.
Thanks, Dale.
I think you did receive a copy from Judy, I would believe, of what some polling of some other districts have done. The primary share of the ones do allow for bidding into the meeting. There's less prevalent to be at the end and equally less prevalent to any time on the actions. So discussions, board members and or citizens in the crowd wondering or asking or wanting to tell us why we should consider a change.
I think it's a good idea the way we do it, however, you know, it's not done consistently on the county board that way, but it is on the county board, but on their committee meetings. And I kind of consider this, you know, the closest to the people. And I would say if somebody wishes to speak that on a particular item, such as Ron had indicated tonight, and you said, yes, we'll allow that, and it's, you know, yes without objection. And that's the way it is on the county board. If somebody comes up to a supervisor and said, say on item number 14, I'd like you to recognize me to speak on that. And then Lance Primmel, the chairman, would say, without objections, Supervisor so-and-so wishes to have so-and-so speak. And there is no objection, then he speaks. If one person objects, then that person does not speak. And that has happened.
Yeah, I've used that practice on a couple different occasions when we had a citizen here that was actually part of a item that was on the agenda. Because we were discussing it, an item that they requested, I think it was very fair for us to allow them to have input to that, and I had no objection to that. I would not have any objection to that matter if the board unanimously wanted to allow somebody to speak on any item, or if the board wanted them to say, I want to speak on, I'd like to meet on 16, we could discuss that. And if we prove to it, I don't have any issues with allowing input when input is appropriate.
But then there's been discussion at the beginning says, well, I don't know what's gonna go on with item number 14 until you guys discuss it, and then I would like to discuss it. I don't know how do you handle that?
Well, Bill, I guess.
You know, and I think, Ron, you have said that before, and that's why I thought, after the civic lesson that we did get at one of the meetings, and it was with the Police and Fire Commission, from our attorney Wood says, you know, you people really don't have to, you're elected, you really don't have to let anybody talk. And that is true too. But we do.
I understand that, and I've wavered on many times on some things. Because obviously, you could get, if discussions were free-railing, they could get into he said, they said, and whatever, and that would be counterproductive to the board getting their job done. We're all expected to contact with people that are specifically on items. We should hopefully understand the feelings, and if we want them to speak at that meeting, Patty could say, Jim Brown was here for item 13, I'd like to allow him to speak, and I believe the board would say, fine. So, I mean, that's a fair and reasonable way to expand the activities that are interactive between the town board and the individuals. Mr. Head, did you want to speak to it?
Thank you. Yeah, just a companion of thoughts here, I guess, is, first of all, I guess I appreciate whatever you can do to open it up a little bit more, you know. Give it some thought, I guess, and if we come to some sort of a agreement to open that up a little bit more, I'd appreciate it. I felt a little bit, you know, I know I could reach out to all you people individually, and you're always accommodating. You know, I tried that recently, just, you know, trying to get this item on the agenda and how you guys felt about it. You know, I took up your time, I took up my time, and I could have done the same thing in 3 minutes, probably at the end of a meeting or at the beginning of the next meeting or something like that. You know, and I certainly understand that this is the board's meeting, it's not our meeting. But I also hear from you guys that you want the input. You know, every time an election comes around, everybody's saying, hey, you guys never talk to us, we gotta know what you're talking about, you know. And, you know, I think what Bill was talking about here is when we had this July 17th meeting here in this building here for, well, the first item was approve the minutes of the meeting, the second item was public comment, the third item was discussion of fire departments and EMS's 3 to 5 year plan on maintaining current status of staffing, equipment needs, response time, ISO rating, and community mutual aid. You know, I asked before the meeting for somebody to explain that. And Arnie, you said, well, we're gonna discuss that. And then I understand that Kathy or somebody says, well, can we maybe open that up at that agenda item? And that happened, and that worked great. I mean, I had absolutely no idea what that was about.
Mhm.
You know, and, or even if I did maybe think I knew what it was about, it wasn't about what I might have thought about, I guess, so. But, I sense that, you know, there's some fear of the thing getting out of control, and I don't want it to be out of control either. But I also know, Arnie, that you run a nice meeting, you know, and you know, you can gavel for peace, you know. I just like to really give it a, I hope we could give it a try. I really liked it when you know, the agenda items are completely open. I can also, I can understand why that might not be palatable, I guess, but at least once at the end is what I started to ask for. So once at the beginning, one more time at the end to kind of summarize the thing. And I don't know if you're ever going to have a comment, but you sure aren't unless we try. So.
Okay,
I make a motion, we don't let him talk anymore.
Yeah, one
you
more
used your
thing.
3 minutes up.
Yeah.
But, and I don't think I mentioned this, but you know, the board gets a packet of information, and you're well versed in what's gonna happen here. You know, you guys do a lot of research on that stuff. I guess I could probably get the same packet of information in a quarter sheet, you know.
We just went over the fee for that if you want it.
Okay. But, or I guess I could come over and read it, you know. So I may be more involved than a lot of people, but
On the county, our packets are all on the internet,
okay.
you know, and county
Yeah,
agendas.
and I did ask Judy once if I could, she would send them to me, and rightfully so, she says, well, you gotta talk to Arnie about it, cause I ain't gonna be sending all this stuff out. And I didn't pursue that.
There's postage involved in,
But-
In time.
you know, it's coming in time. I moved the item forward about 3 years ago to put all of our agendas on the internet and put it into iPad format for us. We just didn't decide that we wanted to spend the money as a town board to advance ourselves to iPads, but that's sooner or later. I mean, you don't know what our paper copying
Oh, yeah.
cases of paper we go through for all the stuff we have to do. That just if we could cut down our town board packets and the plan commission packets sometime, there'd be a lot more roads we could black up.
But at the time, what I was asking for is just the email stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff she emails to the board, that isn't a confidential situation, give me a CC.
That's just usually though the agenda that you get, not the packet of information. And, you know, I've wondered about that with the county does, and I'm asking this for clarification, Bill, I seriously am being respectful about it. The county board, you guys put your packet of materials on the website? I thought it was just to a place where only supervisors can get into through some
No.
password.
I can go on my own computer and get it.
Yep, you can, but,
No, my own computer, not my iPad from the county.
okay, that's great, because you know, when I send things to like the Health and Human Services Committee,
Yeah.
I forward it on because I didn't know they can go to the website and get it themselves.
Yes.
So I can
Okay.
confirm that because I did go look, and I was, well, I knew it. There was
So that
like
might-
70,
we can
80
look into
pages
that.
of documents that they had.
Sometimes we have 320 pages.
Right, so so maybe it's something, if we had a scanner on the copier,
We do.
We do.
then that we could try and
Yeah.
figure out if that's a way. But I do agree with what Bill said, that the county board does allow, and I have observed that and have seen that where it's open to the public in the beginning, express a concern, or even just as a matter of fact of stating, I'm interested in that subject item, I have no idea what you're gonna talk about, but I'm here because of that. And then being able to be recognized by the board and having the public speak. That has a little bit more sense of control than to just have it open throughout the whole meeting and then the meetings last even longer.
Yeah, my wife is on the school board, and that's a process similar to what they use there. But you still have to, you know, there's still that agenda item out there that, well, I think I know what you're talking about, but then you guys start the discussion, and maybe I've got something important I think would help you out. Well, after the vote, it don't make any difference, I guess.
With the board's permission, I'd like to maybe take a look at Lodi's town board meeting ground rules, and I'd like to take that and modify it to what I think would be acceptable to all of us and maybe some citizens, and then come back with something for next month.
Sounds good.
All right.
Good idea.
I think that, you know, like I think it's a good idea. If someone shows up to the meeting, they've made a very good effort to be here, that we should be able to hear what they have to say.
All right, so I'm gonna motion to table that item.
I'll second that.
Motion by Arnie, second by Patty to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Okay. Item is tabled. We're gonna move to 17 July disbursement vouchers. Any question on the vouchers? Were they in our packet?
No,
They came
they were
early.
No, they
way
were-
before.
Oh, that's right, yeah, I read them. Any
I think
questions
they're
on them?
last year's.
They were quick this time.
Yeah, no, I did not have.
All right, move to item 18, operator license applications. There is an amended one there.
Me.
Yeah, no, you're the second one, though. This is for the August list of applicants, and we have Amanda Garrett for J.R. Capone's, Courtney LeMay, J.R. Capone's, Don Munro, Bud's Corner Market, Ashley Olson, J.R. Capone's, Jennifer Sorensen, J.R. Capone's, Calliston, Steinmeier, J.R. Capone's. Those were approved by the chief for one-year licenses, and he suggested a denial for Anthony Labarge, Bud's Corner Mart, for an incorrectly filled out application. What's your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve the operator license applications as you presented and read.
Okay,
I'll second that.
motion Kathy, second Patty to approve the license applications with the approvals and the denial. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? All right. Monthly reports from Kitty Midgey's Public Works.
She has a concern, but you're coming up later.
Yeah, you stay around here.
Yeah.
You're coming up.
Okay.
All right, Public Works. My crewmen left, but I will tell you that our road construction has wrapped up. We did Breezy Point, Gilbertson Court, 64th Street was from Wizzy to the W, and 58th Street was at Whitrock to the end of 58th. We did a sinkhole repair on Deer Road. A resident was going to re-blacktop his driveway and asked if we would go in and remove the sinkhole. That was on town right away first, which we did, had that removed and sub-based for him so he can go ahead and have his road repaired. We did patch seal on Lake Avenue. Contractor told us that this is probably a year or a 2-year fix, and that the road should, that point of time down the road, should have a complete reseal coat of the project, of the road. So that's basically, even though it looks a little funky, it's just a temporary to get it to a standard where it could be redone in a year or two. The equipment is in overall good condition. One patrol truck is getting to a point where it's getting of age, and I believe Rick was probably going to put that in his proposals for the new budget. The flashing stoplight for 48th Street is here at the garage, and the garage will get it up shortly. So that's what I have for Public Works. Is there any questions or comments from anybody else? Patty, Plan Commission?
Plan Commission, we met on July 14th, which we had the public hearings regarding the Edwards R2 to Egg, and also the certified survey map for Bone. Also, the recommendation regarding ordinance number 51 and 52, which we had the public hearings this evening, which was the reference of removing ordinance number 27. And then the Plan Commission also met again on August the 11th, recommending to the board the preliminary plat review of the Hunter's Ridge subdivision, which is the second edition of the subdivision. So that's pretty much that.
Okay, any questions on the Plan Commission report? Public Safety report, anything, Kathy?
We haven't had a public safety meeting. It is scheduled for next week, Wednesday, the 20th, here at the fire department. As we mentioned earlier in the meeting, that public safety meeting is intended to initiate a conversation around strategic planning for the fire department and trying to identify why the department exists, what the vision is for the department, what core values there may be, and to develop a strategic plan of goals and strategies if that's the intent and the direction of what the board would support of our department. So I, along with Dan Paulson, will try to facilitate some conversation with whoever is here in attendance next week, Wednesday.
And what time did you say that was?
I think it was
Kathy?
6. I thought it was 6, or it will be 6, yeah.
Wednesday. Okay,
I
thank you.
couldn't find my notice, and I don't know if Judy didn't get it out yet, or, because
Yeah,
I
I
didn't see
haven't
it.
seen that, so thank you.
Yeah.
Bill, the Airport Commissioner?
Airport Commission, we met Thursday, the 7th of August. An old business discussion was the planting of trees. We're getting into that with the McKay Nursery, the Lincoln High School, and also the Technical College's urban forestry. Going in there, looking for different species and heights of trees to be replanted. Maintenance of the repair for the FAA radio room is what was motioned by Brad Hamilton to basically get 3 people to go in there and give us an estimate. They need repairs of that building, and we'll see what somebody comes up with. And then we each had our offer to go tour it and see what it was, so now we're waiting for that. Airport timber sales is what we did is, there was a motion by Brad Hamilton, second by myself, to close the timber sale and return the performance bond of $11,377.20 to the forester on New Pages. So basically the timber cut is done. We have some places that we could not get access to it. However, we're going with the Bureau of Aeronautics to see what can be done about that. We've got a letter by a property owner that says we cannot go in there and cut down any of the trees. So, review airport real estate and operating documents for future land use planning. Is what we're going to do is have Brazo's law office, Brazo's law office to go in and get who owns what buildings are owned, who they're deeded to, and things like that. And I would like to discuss this item with the whole board, probably at a closed meeting, because of some of the things that
Negotiating, et cetera, that.
I think that's involved in this that I'm not happy with.
Okay.
And,
Anything else on it?
continuing to, at this time, we are not cleaning up any more slash in the town of Grand Rapids or any of the areas. We're seeing how it grows up and hides it. So there's no efforts to do that. And of course, we proved out, and there was a lot of airplanes because of the air show, so.
Anything else?
No, that was it.
I have one question for you. This came up in my visit to the airport a couple of months back, looking at the new equipment that we're using to do some cleaning up around the tarmacs, et cetera, et cetera. The snow blower attachment, the broom attachment, and the other things for that tractor are just basically sitting outside,
There is-
uncovered, if, my concern is, and my knowledge of that is, that at some point in time, that items will begin to get rust, and then they'll make them so hard to use that, the wheels are all rusted up and you can't use it anymore. I know these items are not items that you're gonna use tremendously, but I think we need to get them inside, covered up somehow, somewhere, whether the airport commission has to build another building, and make it a building for equipment storage for the operation of the airport.
And this
Something
this
that
has
needs
been,
to be taken care of.
this has been discussed to do that, you know, why buy all this new equipment and set it outside when we could put it in an airport hangar that belongs to the airport?
Right.
But because of other stuff in there, and that's part of the closed session I'd like to talk about, what I think is going on preventing such things like that.
Sure.
Thank you
All right.
for bringing it up.
Okay, anything else? All right, if not, then we'll, public buildings, Patty?
The municipal building, committee met on July 30th, and we decided we're gonna start working on getting the figures for, this upcoming budget. We have some ideas that we need to look at for more repairs. The cap on the municipal building and the northeast wall is complete, and that looks nice, and that should help with the water from ruining the integrity of that wall. The brick on the fire department has been completed, and that's, I had another note in here to thank Riverview for their donation for the file cabinets and the desks, as police chief mentioned earlier. That's about it.
Okay, questions of, public buildings? We do have two doors that we're getting pricing on here. Fire station doors, the one that goes out to the east and one to the south are in, pretty poor condition. I know we're at budget level already, but once we have those numbers, I'm going to believe that we're gonna ask you whether we can go over budget, or at least I'm gonna take it back to the public buildings and see if we can consider going over a public budget for this, as it doesn't look like something in my mind that should wait another year to get through the budget. So, anything else? Nothing, no questions? Economic Development, Dan is not here
And we did not meet.
and did not meet. Recycling solid waste bill,
Well, we'll be looking over the proposal, of course, and just to remind everybody, September 20th is, which is a Saturday, we'll be having our Choose to Use.
same format, you're gonna have an in lane so that
Yes,
there's
yes.
less confusion as to people, and
Yes.
the chance of people getting injured are less if we have dedicated roads,
We
right?
don't want anybody run over like at a racetrack or
There you go.
anything like that. It was, and there's some other things we have to do in controlling some of the individuals.
Okay. I like keeping them out of the empty lanes.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that too. All right, legislative committee is gonna meet, is it next week, I believe?
19th, right?
19th.
Yep.
A lot on the agenda, a lot, it's just now our turn to start looking at all other things we haven't looked at. There's several things on there. Hopefully we'll get through one or two of them tonight. That seems to be what we do. Personnel committee, Kathy, anything? I know we met, but I don't know if we got any reports out, did we?
No, we met and I intended to bring the per diem policy to the board and I didn't get around to it. I had other things that took place at my other job, so I didn't get around to that. We did talk a little bit also about a self-assessment process and a coaching session type conversation that can take place with our employees, in kind of similar to a performance evaluation, but more placing that responsibility upon themselves since we're not there to observe them regularly.
All right, reports, any questions of, reports of individual town board members, Bill?
I have two things. Well, one is the thing in the town of Grant. I heard a lot of comments about, you know, it would be nice if the, because of the big city of Callender, that if we could have a yearly thing and the town of Grand Rapids and the town of Grant go together, who would you run that by? You know, remember we used to have the
Well-
corn fest there.
Yeah, I remember all too, I remember all too well, Bill, I was in the middle of
Yes.
trying to break some people up at the last time, and I'm
But I thought it was quite a
I'm getting
success.
older.
And so they would just like to know, you know, if I was part of the plan commission on that.
I know there's a ton of work that, that committee did to put that together, and they did a very nice job.
They did a
and
beautiful
I
job.
spent some time over there and partaked in a few of the attachments, but, I mean, we could, I guess, first off, you'd have to figure out what kind of costs involved in it, if there's some, if it's the businesses that want to do it from each of the communities, that might be one thing, so.
Yeah, and if it's the public who's making comments like that, that they enjoy the idea of an annual get-together of some sort, then maybe what we need to do is try to spread the word more about the Grand Rapids celebration and expand that more, because it does involve the town of Grant, where we
And Saratoga.
provide coverage for them. And
Right.
perhaps that could be the outlet, and we could expand a little bit more on that event.
Sure.
Any other
And
comment on it?
one other thing is,
Yeah.
an individual has asked about lighting. You know, they see so many lighting districts. And how do they go about that, or does a group of people say, we would like a light in our subdivision?
I think if you go through the current ordinance and subdivision ordinance, says
Yeah.
people can petition for a light, and if it's not one that the town deems a hazard, they would be required to pay for the installation of it. At that point, the town would pay for the electricity of it. That's been the way the policy has been. So if there's a corner that is deemed a safety hazard, for example, the county trunk W at 32nd Street, the county does not put streetlights there. The township actually had those paid for and installed, and of course the town pays for it, even though it is a county road. So if there's safety hazards, and they make that note, we can certainly take a look at that as a board. They can petition the board to do it. If it's individuals wanting it on their street in their own subdivision, much like the city, they can pay for it, pay for the post, and light will be put up, and then
I'll look
we
at
pay the
that.
electricity.
Okay, thank you.
And that was your second comment, that's what you had?
Yes.
All right, Patty, anything?
I just wanted to mention that I went to a City of Wisconsin Rapids meeting, and in that meeting, there was 17.31 acres that was approved to be annexed to the City of Wisconsin Rapids.
It's
So-
proposed to be annexed yet, it's not finished until it goes to common council, which would
right,
be,
that's
I
the-
believe, the 17th, they're gonna act upon it.
That's correct. So that meeting was, they did recommend that for their approval. And then also, when I heard Bill talking about performance bonds, that reminded me of, the meeting that we had at the Plan Commission, in regards to, performance bonds for the subdivision. Is that something that is taken care of?
Are you talking for the future roads for Hunter's Ridge, is that what you're referring to?
Yes,
He has to post the bond for that.
right.
When
Should have the Plan Commission, okay.
No.
All right,
Once they determine the lengths of the roads, then the county gives that to the clerk, and then, and I can't tell you the process, Chris, maybe you know what it is to determine what that bond amount is.
No, I do not.
It might just very well be that we take what the county tells us it was to build a mile of our roads, and we use that formula
all right.
and post a bond for it
I
that
think
way.
it's like 120% of the, can't
Yeah.
exceed that, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Kathy, anything tonight?
Nothing to report.
I have nothing. Treasurer? Clerk?
Nope.
All right, so that moves us to item 21, which is established the next agenda. Is there any specific items
Yes.
That board members want on that, Bill, what would that
Some
be?
people have asked if they had an item to put on the agenda, did they call you?
And myself or the clerk, and we communicate back and forth.
Okay.
Any questions, any other? Okay, we'll then move to item 22, which is the Grand Rapids Town Board is gonna move into closed sessions pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, Prin 1, Prin F. Consider personal history data of a specific person which discussed in public would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in any such history. To hear the request for Deborah Christensen on granting operator's license, which was denied at the July meeting due to inaccurate information on the application. And will also be in closed sessions on Wisconsin Stats 19.85, Prin 1, Prin E, deliberating or negotiating when competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, to formulate the board strategy for negotiating a possible extension of current waste collection contract with advanced disposal. Anybody wish to make that motion to move into closed session?
I'll make that motion to move
Patty?
into closed session.
Second by
I'll second.
Kathy, roll call vote. Bill?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Arnie? Aye. We are in closed session. I thank the public for attending.